Hey there, welcome to the table, the natural table. So I wanted to follow up on my announcement and talk about the Border Route Trail. So they have a website, theborderroutetrail.org. It's an excellent website. They have information about the trail where it's remote, it's rugged. I mean, there's definitely then there shows a map here. So basically, the U.S.-Canada border is this line right here, and so you can see that it goes right along the U.S.-Canada border through most of it. In fact, there's a few spots where you could literally throw a rock and hit Canada and hear them say ouch. So, this is what's called the boundary waters. It is the border between Minnesota and Canada, and you can see there's a million lakes here, hence the 10,000 lakes part of Minnesota. A whole lot of those lakes are right up here. So, we're going to take a look at a much more in depth view of this particular map, but just helping you to see this map and how it looks. Now, one of the things is it is remote, very much so. That's where the risk comes in. Um, and it's rugged, but not as rugged as like. So the rugged, according to people who have done this, is that the trail is not used very often. So trees will fall, and you have to climb over them, or the trail's not very marked. Like they don't paint they don't put paint on trees or anything, and so you got to use a lot of land nav, compass and map skills to figure out where you're going, and the trail will be overgrown, and sometimes people have to bushwhack their way through because a bunch of jagger bushes or whatever are along the way. You do need permits for certain months of the year, and those months are the summer months. I think it's don't quote me on this, but I think it's May through September is where you need the permits. And of course, it stands BWCA stands for Boundary Water Canoe Area, and there are a lot of people who will go up there and then you take your canoe, and you can go to these same campsites we're going to, and you can also even there's spots where you finish one lake, then you go to a portage and you literally have to carry your canoe to the next lake, and then you can keep going. So it's a pretty cool area. Lots of links. You can learn a lot more. They have like how to do your planning. Um, what kind of things do you need? They recommend that you have trekking poles, wear sturdy boots or shoes. The trail conditions, they do try to post what those are. Um, let's see, there's, a leave no trace principle, which is important because of the bears. Um, be prepared not to have cell service. You need to always have a compass. The trail can be heavily overgrown. Tree falls. Um, there will be signs at spurs. There's no trail markings. I mean, it's almost like I'm quoting exactly what I read, a couple of weeks ago when we started to agree to this. You have to know where you are on the map. Um, and then, of course, make sure you're going in the right direction. There are trailheads. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And yes, we're going to be bringing our dog. Um, I did look into this. Like, why do I need a leash on my dog if I'm going to be out in a remote area? And the answer is because dogs will smell bears and then go sniff them out, which will spook the bear. And then the bear gets angry and starts chasing the dog. And then, of course, the dog runs back to its master. So then you have an angry bear chasing a dog back to the master. And that's how bear attacks happen. And from my limited data gathering, that's the only times that a bear attack has been recorded in this area is because a dumb dog went out and spooked the bear and barked at it or whatever, and then caused the bear to chase after it. So the belief system here is that you keep your dog on a leash, and that prevents the dog from going out and spooking a bear. It makes sense once somebody explained it, but until then, it was like this makes no sense to me. Like this is the safest place in the world to let your dog run loose. Um, okay, so then, as you can see, they have an interactive map, but I'm gonna go back. They actually have an interactive map here, which might be the same thing, but we're gonna go ahead and use this. So I'm gonna zoom out a bit. All right, so I want you to see this. So this is North Dakota. So there's a trail in North Dakota that goes all the way through North Dakota and then comes down into, yeah, that's still North Dakota. That's just Bismarck to Fargo. Then it goes into Minnesota and then it comes up north and it still goes right through central Minnesota all the way up to the Canadian border. And then the part where you see it turn green, that's the Superior Hiking Trail. So Superior Hiking Trail starts here at the same place, and it just continues, and it goes all the way down past Duluth. Then it ends here, and then another trail picks up, and it goes through, and this is Wisconsin here, and then I don't know if this is Michigan, I believe. It goes all the way across here, and it keeps going, and then it's going down through Michigan, and then it goes into Ohio, and zigzags quite a bit through Ohio. And it goes right near the West Virginia border. Then it goes into Pennsylvania, and it goes right through Allegheny Forest, up into New York, keeps going through New York, and then it eventually ends, it goes through the Adirondack Mountains, and then eventually ends here. And that's no longer New York, that's what? New Hampshire? Connecticut? Vermont, sorry. So it is literally one long trail that does everything. Now you see these little dashed lines, that's probably because you have to maybe cut through some roads or, because it may not be continuous in certain spots. And then of course each section of trail has its own name. Like I can tell you this is the Superior Hiking Trail, the part in green. I have no idea what this is called here. That's definitely not the Border Route Trail. The Border Route Trail, the BWCA portion is only this part here. And then the part that goes, through Minnesota and all the way to North Dakota, no idea what that's called. I'm sure there's a name for it. Well, actually, here's the name, North Country Trail. That's what it's called. So anyways, getting back to the part. So the BWCA area is, I think it starts here, and it only goes to a certain point. The actual Border Route Trail is a little bit longer. So BWCA is a very limited area. It starts where the actual lakes are. You can see there's this portion after this lake that keeps going. That's not considered BWCA territory. And why is that important? It's just, which jurisdiction, who's coming up with the park rules or the trail rules. Like the trail rules change as you go through each of these different jurisdiction areas. This is where the Superior Hiking Trail starts and the other one ends. And they literally are like one trail. And then the big thing to understand is that there's mile markers. So this is showing 558 miles. And that's 558 miles going all the way. Somehow I lost it. All the way, like here you can see it's mile marker 276, right? And it keeps going. And then if you get all the way to North Dakota, that should be mile marker 1 over here. Right there. So it starts in Lake Sakakawea State Park near Pick City. And you can see there's the half mile marker, there's mile marker 1, mile marker 1.5, and so forth. And so then it just goes along their lakes, right? They have a big lake there in North Dakota. A very big lake. Oh, that's the Missouri River, in fact. Very cool. And then, you can see all the mile markers as it goes through. And then it eventually hits Minnesota, and then those mile markers, so mile marker, see how it says ND81? Now it says ND450, 451, and then it goes to Minnesota 1, Minnesota 2. So the mile marker starts over in Minnesota. So now you got new mile markers, MN whatever. And we get all the way up here. Yeah, so these are Minnesota mile markers. So 532 is 532 miles just in Minnesota. That's not including North Dakota. I'm learning something here. Okay, so what are we doing? What did we decide to do? Well, first of all, the 65 miles that I keep mentioning is this point right here where it ends, and that's at 560 miles ish, 559. So if we go back to 500, that's pretty close to the beginning, and so you can see that's right here, and then I think that's the start where the little I is, because it's a little bit more, right? That's only 59 miles. We said it was 565, so the start is here where the exclamation point is. So I think that's where you start. You start on the Gunflint Trail, and so this is considered the full 65 miles of trail. They go along here, and then they go zigzag through. Lots of zigzagging, right? And there's a place called Magnetic Rock. Um, it's this big rock that'll make your compass go nuts. So people like to go there, and then of course it goes along and along. All right, so which part are we doing? Well, we're gonna go east to west first of all, and we are also skipping this part here because there's not a lot of views. And I know somebody's going to argue and say that there are, but there really isn't. This goes through thick forest. There you can see that this is topographical, so you're going to be up high for this portion, and maybe get some views there. And then it goes right along the Canada border here, very very close. And this is the Pigeon River, by the way, that goes down, that marks the border. So some really nice spots that we are skipping, and we're gonna go, and we are starting here at McFarland, which they call it McFarland Lake. So somewhere around here we're gonna start. I mean, there's a mile marker 546.5 right there, and there's a parking lot, so that's probably where we're gonna start. It's right there at that parking lot. And so we're gonna start going west, and we're gonna travel along. And just so you know, that's 546. That's 546.5, so that's a half mile. That's how zoomed in we are. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then there's 1 mile, right? So it looks like it's a crap ton of distance, but that's only 1 mile. 1 mile is not that far. But anyways, we're gonna go up along this lake here, and you can see from the topographics that it's going to be on top of a hill. So I'm probably going to hate life getting up to the top. And then it's going to come along, and then we're going to go near another lake and keep going. And this is a campsite, but we're going to keep going. And we're traveling along this lake here. And again, we're at the peak of a lot of hills. Then we're going to get to here. And then this dashed line is what we call a spur. And so we're going to take the spur to the south, and it does show it's a half mile. And then we're going to stop here at Pine Lake. So this will be our first stop. And sometimes there's pictures of it. If somebody uploaded a picture, sometimes. So there's that one. Yeah, nobody has a picture of that one. Is it 734? It doesn't say on here. That might be it though. That looks right. Because if you go up, there's a lake and another lake. So it's sort of like in between the two. There's a lake and another lake, or there's the other lake. So in between the two, yeah, there's the trail. So we're coming down to here, and I don't know, I think there's a campsite here we're just not seeing, but it's saying that there's one over here. And that's quite a picture. Holy crap. So there you go. We got... Doesn't that look awesome? And so yeah, you can see there's going to definitely be canoers coming through the area. But that's what we're looking to do. First night. Let's get out of that. So anyways, you can see this is Google Maps. And then if you, right here's the McFarland campground. That's where we start. And just to retrace, we're going up here along John Lake, and then along here. And then we're going to I thought it was come down here to a campsite, but maybe we're going over to that one. But anyways, there's also a campsite over here, which I don't fully. I don't understand why they show two campsites like this when over here there's only one. But anyways, this one, as you can see, is right next to there, and this is not very far away. So maybe it's just all right. Well, anyways, this is a very steep hill, as you can see. A lot of contours being crossed, and then the next morning, I'm gonna hate life getting back up to the top of this, and then to the top of that, and then we're gonna be following along the tops, maybe going down a little and then back up, and then we're gonna just keep going. Right. So this is day two. Some really nice overlooks along the way, and then we're gonna get to Gogebic Lake. Then here, there is the Cross Beaver Pond, which I don't know if there's pictures. So basically, we're going to be going along this lake, and then we're going to have to go around it. There's a campsite here, and then it eventually goes, around. You can sort of see it, but there's some really steep, like this is a cliff. You can't climb this. So it's almost like you're in a bowl. And what happens here is there is a little bit of flow. Well, the trail goes through here, but beavers make a dam and then cause flooding across the trail. So this part that you see here that's labeled can be purely flooded, and it's been known to be around 2 feet deep. And so you have to basically trudge across, and it could be a football field in length. It all depends, and that's going to be one of our big challenges. Is we got to get through there, and then of course there's a campsite on the other end, and this campsite they got a nice picture of what that looks like. It looks pretty cool. Um, but anyways, that's there. There's also another campsite, I guess, over here. Um, again, I don't. Google's showing a lot more campsites than this shows, because this is not showing another campsite over here. It's just showing the one there. But anyways, and you can see this is how steep it is. You can see there's a real steep part. But the beaver pond, this is more flat. So the thing is this whole thing could get flooded, and then you got water all the way through until you get around it. Um, so we just got to figure that out as we get there, and then we could either stop here or we can go an extra mile around the loop here and through, and then there's a campsite here on Clearwater Lake. And let's see. That's West Pike Lake. I got disoriented. Go yeah, big yeah, that it's here. So there it is. That campsite there has no pictures. It's probably this one. So that's a pretty cool looking campsite there, and you can see a lot of canoers will use this one. And again, beautiful view. Just close out some of these. All right. So either way, here or here, right? It just depends on how we're feeling. Next day, we go along, and this whole thing is Clearwater Lake, by the way. Keep going. Some big hill climbs on this day. And then we get to here. This is another spur that's a third of a mile. And this is another campsite, Clearwater Lake. So again, I don't know why they're not letting me. So there's campsite 681, 680. I would swear there was one here. But yeah, some of them have pictures. I mean, to me, some of the pictures look the same no matter which one you're at. But anyways, and again, they don't show all the different campsites, but maybe there really are a lot. Then, so now we're on day 4. So day 4, we go up, and you can see it's right along the Minnesota Canada border. And then we're going to get to what's called Daniel Spur, and that's where we're going to turn and call it a day. So the trail obviously keeps going, and we're going to miss out on all of this. But at Daniels Lake, we're going to take the spur that goes down along, and then find our car parked here at this. There's a lodge called Clearwater Lodge, and there are a couple more campsites there that if we really wanted to push it and get maybe closer so our final day is not so long, we could go to either of these campsites. And that one's got a snow picture. Because that's another thing too. People come up here. All these lakes are frozen in the winter, so you can hike right across the lakes to get to these different campsites. That's a whole different experience. So, anyways, that's the BWCA that we're gonna do, and then getting back to the this is Lake Superior you're seeing here, and there's the Superior Hiking Trail. We'll go down along this, and I don't know if how much this shows it. It should. Yeah. So as far as the Superior Hiking Trail goes, the week before we're going to. That's going to test my knowledge of where things are at. We're looking for Tedeguchi. It should be around here. Because Temperance River, Baptism River goes through right here, Tedeguchi State Park. So somewhere along here we're going to park. And you can see these. There's different closures. They have announcements and stuff. But we're going to park somewhere along just south of Tedeguchi here. And then just, we'll park at a trailhead. And then hike 4 miles in, camp, and then hike 4 miles back. And that's going to be our practice run. Just to make sure we got the right equipment, that we're comfortable with what we're carrying and how much weight we're carrying. Make sure our dog can handle, hiking large amount of miles. And one day, she seems totally okay hiking the smaller mountain miles, but you never know. And then just, making sure that our sleeping conditions and everything are good. And so we'll be doing that like the week earlier. And so we're going to be doing some of the SHT and then some of the BWCA. Now, my son, of course, wants to always do the entire thing. But he knows that that's my ground rule. We can't do it all. And so there you go. Some really nice, they're both very beautiful trails here in Minnesota. And there's a lot of other beautiful trails everywhere else as well. But yeah, it's very, very nice area. And that'll be what the summer trip is going to entail. Anyways, if any have any questions or there's something else you would like to see, please let me know. The big thing about this, you can see there here, 65 miles. They do have a guidebook, an official, but these are things you have to pay for. So I don't know. I can't I definitely will probably purchase one just because I want a physical copy, but it doesn't do me any good. I know this is how they make their money to maintain the trail, but I can tell you right there is that lake I was just telling you about that we were going to go around. Once you start studying the trail, you can actually see it and recognize it right away. So I don't know, $15 for a guide, probably not horrible. And yeah, I mean, this is the kind of views you're going to have. You're going to be up on a ledge and be able to overlook a lake or a river. It's going to be a lot of that. So very, very cool. Anyways, one thing to mention is if you do go to YouTube, you can say, border route trail through hike. There's some guys like this guy here is Adventures with Marine, and so this is the Marine and his dad, and those guys are troopers. They're very down to earth. Um, they did the trail in the middle of June, and they're uh, they they dealt with some serious sweat. But anyways, that's a good one to follow. Um, this guy here, I don't even remember Sleeping Bear, but I guess I watched his video. I apologize, Mr. Sleeping Bear. I don't remember your video at all. Um, oh, that's right, because he spent a million. This is Magnet Rock right here. He spent like a million minutes there, going on and on and on about Magnet Rock. I mean, it's not that exciting. But anyways, I'm not. You don't mean to diminish what he did because he did a great trip. This is the guy. So this one is well worth. It's called Rob Pelton. He's an older guy like me, and he's also he's in better shape than I am because he was doing like 18 miles a day, and just to put it in perspective, I'm looking at doing 7 to 8 miles a day. He did 18 miles a day, but just in my defense, and he'll be the first one to admit it, he ended up hurting his knees, and he couldn't finish the trip. So he did not finish the 65 miles. He did like 40 of it. But they were doing 18 to 20 miles a day, and he overdid it. And this guy, he failed. He had to get picked up. So, but it's still an excellent video series to watch because he does do some great camera work, and he explains his struggles and anyways, and here you can see the Border Route Trail. I think the biggest thing is no easy miles on the Border Route Trail, and he's out there in the middle of the snow. I think they did their trip in October, um, and then this is him at the end. So why one's 2 years ago, one's 1 year? I don't get that part, but he definitely this particular one, he was with his buddies and he gave it a good go, and it's a series. Like he's got 3 or 4 videos, and I don't know why I'm not seeing the. So there was another guy in the same party as him who also did a series, and he was the one that he was a beast. He went through the whole thing, like didn't even look tired, and I think it's this guy here, Midwest Backpacker. So this guy is in the same group. Yep, that's him. So he's with the other guy who had the knees get hurt, and it's very funny because you'll hear him talk about how his buddy, has knees that are hurt and he can't finish. But this guy did the whole thing, and he also has some wonderful, awesome views to show, and he talks about his concerns and things like that. But right here, Chuck's a big boy; he can handle himself. Rob hasn't arrived yet. Rob's the one with the bad knees. Anyways, the one interesting thing about these guys is they all traveled separately. They camped at the same place every night, but they didn't hike together as a group. They each hiked at their own pace, which I thought it was interesting. But anyways, what was nice about those two sets of videos is it was the exact same trip, but from 2 different points of views. So they definitely covered the part that we're planning on covering. And here you can see this video is the last 33 miles. And my goodness, he did 33 miles in like a day and a half. I mean, it was these guys were cooking. And I get it. Some of you out there that are super physical shape, you're like 33 miles, that's nothing. Great, good on you. But anyways, that's what I recommend. I didn't watch any of these other ones, so I have no idea. I have no idea why this is even a thing, but yeah, Midwest Backpacker, he did a pretty cool video series. I actually didn't watch this one. I should probably try it. Michelle Schrader. That was in 2021. So looks like she got rained on a lot. But anyways, there's quite a few, and looks like there's another one, Wandering Pine, with the bug nets. Yep, I definitely have those. But anyways, that'll get you if you're really interested in learning more about the trail. Looks like somebody's got some old school map here. But anyways, thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.